Welcome back, everyone. One of the things we love to do on the show is to chronicle the extraordinary hypocrisy of the Democratic scandal machine. So many of the things that they accuse others of, they were actually doing. Remember when Donald Trump was accused of Russia collusion? Well, it turns out that Hunter Biden was colluding with lots of oligarchs. More recently, they've been going after Justice Clarence Thomas, for things he left off his financial disclosure form, which, by the way, he wasn't required to disclose anyways. And oh, you know what? Joe Biden did the same thing. He was taking free vacations at billionaires' homes and not putting them on his disclosure form. Now ethics experts are blowing the whistle on our current president. We've got the perfect guest to referee this. He's the founder and president of one of my favorite projects, the Article 3 Project, and he joins us right now, Mike Davis. Mike, great to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Hypocrisy knows no limits when it comes to Democrats in Washington. Clarence Thomas, Joe Biden, a lot of similarities except the way they're being treated in the media.
Yeah, I mean, it's hierarchy. We have Justice Clarence Thomas, who took vacations with his best friend of 25 years, a best friend with zero business before the Supreme Court. And there were constant headlines, screaming scandal from the so-called mainstream, meaning liberal media. Now we have President Biden failing to disclose his freeloading trips, his freeloading stays at these lavish homes, second homes, third homes of these major Democrat donors and billionaires. And what do we have from the media? Crickets.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, in another instance of hypocrisy down in Georgia, Fani Willis questioned the exact same election that the people who she's prosecuting questioned. It's unbelievable. But speaking of that, we had Congressman Andrew Clyde on the show yesterday, and he was talking about Republican interest and effort in defunding prosecution, basically postponing that until 2024. Not the investigation, but the prosecution of anyone who's a major candidate. What are your thoughts on that?
So the Article 3 Project has been pushing those two appropriations riders for several months now. And we say cheers to Congressman Clyde for taking the baton here and actually doing something about it. We can just scream from the outside, but it takes courageous Republican House members like Congressman Clyde to do what needs to be done. And what this does is it just says, look, we're not going to use federal funds to prosecute a major presidential candidate on or before November 5th, 2024, and state and local governments can't use federal funds to do the same. We have not prosecuted a presidential candidate or a former president in our nation's history. They waited 30 months to bring these 4 different indictments against President Trump. It's clear election interference, and there's no reason that if they want to try to prosecute him, there's no reason they can't wait till after the election. The American people, not Democrats, prosecutors, and Democrat judges and Democrat juries in Democrat hellholes like New York, D.C., and Atlanta get to pick our next president.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. A couple of years ago, I said, I think Joe Biden has a Hillary Clinton problem because I found some of these private emails on Hunter Biden's laptop and in a couple State Department FOIAs. And they went, oh, no. A couple oversight, not there. Well, yesterday, the National Archives revealed to us and to the Southeastern Legal Foundation 5,400 Biden pseudonym emails in the archives. That doesn't count the ones that might not have made it there. 5,400 emails for a vice president using fake names to talk to his son and others. Should Americans be a little concerned about this?
Yeah, is one of his emails pedo Peter? Because that's what Hunter Biden called him. It's amazing to me that, for a vice president, then vice president, who claimed he had zero involvement in his son's corrupt foreign business dealings, that doesn't seem right. And it's very clear that then Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter took a $10 million foreign bribe from Burisma and threatened to fire the threatened to cut off $1 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine if the Ukrainian president didn't fire the Ukrainian prosecutor investigating Burisma and the Bidens. This is clear foreign corruption. He's clearly compromised. That's in addition to $10 million more from China and many millions more from Romania. House Republicans need to move forward immediately on an impeachment inquiry. There is no reason we should have a president of the United States this corrupt, this compromised. It leads to bad things like war against Russia and Ukraine because Russia smells the corruption. Russia smells Joe Biden is compromised. Russia smells that Joe Biden is weak.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, speaking of war, I want to ask you about something that I think Democrats have been wargaming for a while. We had former Assistant Secretary of State Bobby Charles on the show last week, and he was talking about each of these indictments and referred to them as cardboard indictments because I don't think these prosecutors think that they will ultimately get guilty verdicts. But if they can get a guilty verdict next year, even if it's reversed on appeal, can they use that to take Donald Trump off the ballot?
No, they think they can. They think that they're going to try to take President Trump down under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, the disqualification clause. After the Civil War, we passed the Civil War amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to outlaw slavery and provide due process and equal protection for freed slaves. One of the problems that undermined that effort, the Civil War gains, was there were these Confederate sympathizers who were being elected to the House and other office. And so as part of the 14th Amendment, they passed this provision that you can disqualify people who engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the United States. The only way that you can implement that is through Section 5 of the 14th Amendment, and you have to pass a criminal statute, and Congress has done that. There is an insurrection and rebellion statute. In order to disqualify, you have to charge a defendant under this criminal insurrection or rebellion statute. There has to be a trial with a judge and a jury. They have to be found guilty. They have to be convicted, and it has to be upheld on appeal. That is the only way you can disqualify a president. The qualifications for president are listed in the Constitution, and being a felon is not a disqualification.
That's a great point. And a lot of legal scholars like you have been making it really well. Last one I want to ask you about, less than a minute left. Jack Smith, top deputy, one of his top deputies, meeting at the Biden White House while the whole Trump investigation is going on. Does that seem right to you?
It's not right. It violates Department of Justice policies and practices for decades, and particularly it violates Merrick Garland's January 21st, 2021 memo that communications with the White House have to go through the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General through the White House Counsel and the Deputy White House Counsel. Jay Bratt met with the counsel's office with an FBI agent. He needs to be asked about that, but I don't know what his excuse is for meeting with the White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain's office. There's no excuse for that. That seems like a clear violation of these justice policies, and House Republicans should haul him in and ask him.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Well, Mike Davis, as always, lots of wisdom, lots of great facts. We are so grateful for you and the Article 3 Project, all the great work you're doing in Congress and elsewhere in this country. Good to have you on. I know we're going to get you back real soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks.